I'm from Portland, Oregon. It's very cold and wet there, and I don't like hot at all. So when I put my papers in, I know you're not supposed to do this, but I was sort of thinking in my mind the places I really didn't want to go. And I was like, okay, I don't want to go to Salt Lake. And I really don't want to go to Provo because then I'll see my friends from school. I really don't want to go to Texas because it's going to be really hot and humid there. And I really don't want to go to Arizona. Like, I think Arizona would be the last place I ever wanted to go because it's so hot. And I was just so determined that I really didn't want to go there. And I really wanted to go foreign language speaking. And one day I was visiting one of my Hispanic friends. I was actually at her house with her family. We were having this big dinner together. All the family was talking Spanglish. And I got this impression that I was going to go and teach Latin people. And I thought, sweet, I could go to Brazil. I could go to, Uruguay. I could go to Mexico. I could go anywhere. It'd be great. It's going to be awesome. So my call arrives, and I was pretty excited. And I was the only person, I guess. My two little brothers were at home with me, and my mom and dad were at work, but I couldn't wait to open my call. So I grabbed both my brothers' phones, had both my parents on speakerphone, and I opened up my call, and I started reading it out. And I read, Sister Green, you have been called to serve in the Houston, Texas South Spanish-speaking mission. And I was like, God, is this a joke? You're sending me to Texas? It's really hot there. You know that, right? Like, you're sending me to Texas. And it was so funny because at first I was just like, ew, it's going to be really awful in Texas. But when I read the part about Spanish speaking, I knew it was right because of that prompting I'd had earlier on. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's going to be fine. And I got my packet and it said all the things that I needed, and I started to prep. And it was actually a really exciting experience to prepare for the mission, to get all the things that I needed and to kind of organize and say goodbye and get ready to go and do something I'd wanted to do for so long. I used to, before the mission started, I would have dreams that I was already on the mission, or that the mission was going to start the next day, or that I was going to be going into the MTC. And I had those dreams like my entire mission. And I would dream about, when I was in the MTC, I would dream that, I was already out there, or I would dream about things we were doing in the MTC. And then when I got out into the field, I would dream about, teaching and all sorts of stuff. Or I would dream that I was home, but that I was still a missionary and that I would be preaching to people on the street. Anyway, sorry, side note. It was great. I loved it. And at first, when I got my call, I'm not going to lie, I was bummed. I was like, oh, I didn't want to go stateside. And then I talked to one of my aunts, and she also served a mission, and she's my grandma's youngest daughter, so she's really close in age to me. And she goes, you know what? Some people are called to minister to people in foreign lands. They're called to serve foreign people in their language, learn their cultures. But people in your home also need the gospel. And you have been called to serve a mission, to minister to your people in your land. I had never thought about it before, and it completely changed my perspective. And I was like, that's right, I have been served and preached my people in my own land. Which wasn't exactly true because I served Spanish speaking, so mostly I taught Hispanics. So I didn't really speak to a lot of English speakers, but it was awesome. It was really good.